Riya and Manvi are two best friends. Riya is a bigger star, while Manvi is an upcoming star. And there is a rumor in the industry that Manvi took up a role that was supposed to come to Riya using her contacts. Whereas then Riya comes up before the media and gives an interview where she says, "Only if I knew that I was harboring a Brutus." Now, in this situation, who do you think is guilty? Manvi sues her for defamation. Such kinds of questions are asked in your NLSAT examination in the Part B paper. This particular question pertains to the 2024 examination. In today's video, I'm going to tell you that how are you supposed to go about answer writing for your NLSAT examination, taking up this particular question itself. Hi guys, I'm Ayushi, your mentor for law-based examinations, and welcome to Law Digest. So as I mentioned that in today's video, we are going to understand that how are we supposed to do answer writing. The NLSAT guidelines, they state that you have to write the answer between 300 to 350 words. So that is your word limit. Now sometimes, because I've been teaching for this examination from quite some time, and I've noticed that students are not able to reach the 300 word limit. So how do we go about it? How do we get to that point that wherein we are at least able to touch 275 words? So today let us talk the same example that I mentioned to you. We are going to solve this particular case study. Now, if you see in the question, you have to take it for given that no one is particularly guilty. You have to decide on the basis of the arguments that you can think of. Now here we write down for Riya on one side and then we write down for Manvi on the other side. So what claims can Riya raise? Now Riya is a bigger star, obviously. So if Manvi is engulfing any role out of her contacts that would have come to her, obviously Riya would get hurt. Now here the arguments that go in the favor of Riya are that Riya is a bigger star. So we can say that this role was supposed to come to Riya. However, Manvi has played on Riya and used her contacts in order to get that role, which is wrong. Riya is justified in making the statement because it is a fair statement that she has made that the role was taken up by Manvi, which was supposed to come to her. She has betrayed her. The use of word Brutus, she can say, is only a metaphor. It's an expression of her feelings towards Manvi because she's in an interview. She did not call for a press conference, right? She is just expressing herself before the media in the interview. Whatever questions they are asking her, she's answering those, and on the basis of those, it cannot be said that she had any ill intent to defame Manvi. That was what she was required. Plus, she has her own freedom of speech and expression. Now, for this part, I would say that do not write that she has her freedom of speech under Article 19(1)(a), because that is not what they expect out of you. They don't want you to know the law. They just want you to think rationally, reasonably, like a normal person would. Yes, your knowledge of law would come to help at some places here, but then you have to put it across in a manner that it does not sound as if you've studied law thoroughly. We all are aware of a fundamental rights, and in these questions you can use fundamental rights. However, avoid quoting any article. So these can be the arguments from Riya's side, based on which she can argue that she should not be held liable for defamation because she's a bigger star, she has an interview lined up, and the film was supposed to come to her, but because Manvi was very close to her, she already had access to her news, that was her personal news, whatever was going in her life. She was aware of it and she took advantage of that. She took advantage of her contacts. You have to play very smart in the sense that you have to pick out the keywords from the question. So if the question is saying that she used her contacts, then use this in your arguments concretely. That is how you will be able to come up with your arguments, and you will sound rational. You do not have to cook any stories. You don't have to make any assumptions. This is totally wrong. Do not make any factual assumption until and unless you are drawing that assumption directly from the question. Do not go haywire quoting the law or making the assumptions. That is not what is required. Then you have to speak on the basis of principles of natural justice. Now in law, what happens is that apart from whatever law we are considering into the situation, whatever the case may be, there are principles of natural justice that come into play. For example, what are these principles? Like everyone should be given the opportunity to be heard before accusing them of something, or before convicting them of something. They have to be heard. Audi alterum partem. No one can be a judge of their own cause, meaning if somebody is guilty of something, they cannot decide by themselves if they're right or wrong. So these basic uh, natural laws you can cite. You might not write audi alterum partem as such, because then again that gets into the administrative law perspective of it, which you are not required to know. You just have to confine yourself to rational thinking. Even if you're an individual in your personal life, there might be many things that must be going on, and in those situations you would be applying these principles of natural law that I'm talking about. And even if you are just not aware of what the law in the country is, there is some rational mind that will come into play. If you're ordering something online, say it is defective or something else happened, you will obviously write to the organization, you will give your reasons. Same is the case here. Consider these case studies to be very personal to you, and then you try to write down. That ways you will be able to think a lot. Now here, when they say they use the metaphor Brutus, so Ria can always say that it's just a metaphor. It's not a any direct claim that she's making, or she's hurting the reputation of Manvi directly by using this word. It's just her personal expression, because she's in an interview wherein she's expected to talk about her personal life. It is not that she's doing it with a particular intent. So these can be the arguments. Now what can be the arguments for Manvi? On the other hand, Manvi can say that the term Brutus is used for treachery. It signifies treachery and it's used in very specific circumstances, and it is not that Ria did not intend to make any statement which would demean Manvi, because using such a heavy term, which is universally known for treachery, does imply an intent on the part of Ria to defame her. Then she can further say that since Ria is a bigger star, so she has the power to influence people. So she has an intent to malign her reputation. Then you can also say, moving ahead with the bigger star issue, she can further say that whatever she says in the media must be checked upon. There has to be some curtailment, because otherwise people will go around who are big in the industry. They will go about saying things about the others, and they have to be stopped at certain stage. So further she can say this. Then she can also say that it is not that Manvi is a nobody. She is also a star. She might not be as recognized as Ria, but she is also in the industry, and it could have been that she was better suited for the role, or she used her own methods to get through the role, whatever. So these things can be said. It can be further said that this remark of Ria can harm her reputation, and she might not get future contracts. So it affects her future opportunities, and she should be held guilty of defamation, so that Manvi's career in future does not get affected because of Ria's loose statements. So these can be the arguments. Now generally, if you will see, what will happen is that you might not be able to reach to 300 words if you just write these 4 reasons. What they've done is, over time we've seen this change. Earlier they were very adamant on this issue that you have to choose one particular side and write down. When we are speaking of 23 ka examination, that was the stand at that point of time, that you have to choose a side and write, and response guidelines also mentioned the same. However, if you will see the information session that was conducted for NLSAT 24, there they specified that you have to write from both the sides and then choose one particular side. So that is also what you can do, because that will help you reach the 275 words. But they also said that it will depend on the question. If the question says decide, then you have to write both the sides. If the question is particularly asking you from one side only, then obviously you will write about the particular side. So here, when you are writing from both the sides, it should be apparent that you are particularly favoring a particular side. So use your words in such a manner that it shows that whom are you considering out of the situation, whom do you think has a better stand, are you persuasively for them. For the other side, you can just mention briefly and then come to a conclusion that on the basis of the above arguments, such and such is the condition, and so person should be guilty. That is how you should come to your decision. Now, starting with the answer, you do not have to directly start with the arguments. First, you can say a bit about the facts. You can point out the relevant fact in the situation, which will basically culminate into not just facts, because you are not supposed to rewrite the whole question. It needs to do with the fact in issue. What is the fact in issue in the question that you have to write about? So basically you have to propose a question. So before beginning your arguments, you can just say that in this present situation, it has to be understood as to as to whether Ria had an intention to defame Manvi. So that is the real fact and issue that we are looking at, because Manvi has sued her for defamation. It is not that the question says that she has given an interview. Was she right in giving that interview? That is a secondary fact and issue. The main fact and issue is whether she is guilty of defamation, whether she had that intention to defame Manvi. So that is how you will phrase the initial paragraph, then you will come to the arguments, and then you will conclude. This is how you're supposed to write your answer. I hope I was able to clarify things for you. This question was from the 24 paper. There are 5 more questions that are there. We will be taking up those questions in our module that's available on our website. So those guys who've enrolled for the NLSAT 2025 module, we are going to probably take a live session on this, and we are going to discuss those remaining 5 questions and explain you how do you go about answer writing. For those who are preparing by themselves, you can take advantage of this video, understand that how are you supposed to write these questions, and then try to practice accordingly from whatever sources. I had already posted a video on NLSAT books, although there are no case studies as such particularly. However, you can still take help of people in your house, your friends, family, to frame a case study for you, or if you get hold of some material and you can modify the facts and create a case study for yourself, that can be of use. Check our earlier videos also. In the NLSAT playlist, there are certain videos that give you case studies. You can write on those. Part B paper, unfortunately, NLSAT does not make public, which is why you might have a difficulty in finding those past year papers. Although we've provided to you the solutions in the module for all the papers that have been conducted up till now. And if you want to have a look at the module, you can check our website www.lorddigest.in and get hold of the module from there. Otherwise, as I mentioned, for self-practice, follow the videos, take the sample paper out, try to practice from there, take help from your friends and family, and you will slowly get to know the art of writing the answer for this examination. Also, you have to make sure that you are following the channel so that you keep getting updates on such videos, be it for your NLSAT exam, any other exam, your legal career. Plus, also follow us on Instagram for daily legal updates.